Welcome back to Sunrise Live. Now, as promised, this morning we are talking about the art of public speaking, or be it one-on-one speaking, and how you can use that to earn profit. And this morning we are graced by Frida Owinga from the Passion Profit School of Entrepreneurship. Welcome to KTN.
Thank you, Anne.
And we're talking about public speaking. Of course, there are many of us who, when we stand in front of crowds, our knees just go wobbly. What is the first lesson that you give your students and perhaps those you're mentoring about, speaking in front of people and winning their, actually charming those crowds?
The first thing is to know that to be sure that you have a story and that you will be able to connect with your crowd. So they need to know that. And your knees wobbling is something that will happen forever. So the day your knee stops wobbling, maybe you're becoming too confident and that bit of ego is coming in.
So it's actually a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing to keep you in check. I always say that.
All right. And apart from having a story to tell those people, of course, you can't get in front of them and just forget everything. So how do you prepare yourself before, speaking before people? What should people just consider before you stand in front of a crowd to deliver a speech? What are the important things to consider?
You must have a passion. It all starts with passion. You must have, either you have a story you want to tell, or it's a skill you want to help people to understand. You must be passionate about people and passing information and imparting knowledge to others. That cannot be negotiated. And then once you have your passion, then we help you work out who will your target audience be. How will this story impact people? Is there a need in the society that people will want to hear this story? So we help you package it in a way that you'll be able to present it in a short story, or in a long story, or in different ways. Like, for instance, Passion Profit has a story of 5 tips of turning your passion into profit.
Tell us about them.
Turning your passion into profit, number 1, you need to gain clarity. Oftentimes people take action before they're clear on what they want to do. Like somebody starts a store and you feel, I can also do that. Or you feel, I can paint, or I can do graphic design, and you think, everybody's doing it and they're getting money, and you think you can make a business out of it. But there's more to running a profitable business than just having the technical skills. So the first thing we do is help you to gain clarity. What are your strengths? What are the skills? Do you need additional skills? And what is some of your past experience? What are some things that come easily to you? And then the second thing, take action.
Still on clarity.
Yes.
Sometimes it is easier to spot a potential profitable business by seeing what has made others succeed. Is it totally a bad thing, perhaps, to do the bandwagon thing?
It is a bad thing to do the bandwagon thing, because what we teach entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship is discovering an opportunity, finding out what are the needs in the society and pursuing them to create value and exchange it for money. So if you just see, if somebody has started a Mutumba stall and you go ahead and start a Mutumba stall, clearly if there are 5 Mutumba stalls and there's no more need for Mutumba in that area, you may want to think, what else do they need? Maybe they're selling shirts or they're selling trousers, so maybe you want to do accessories, I don't know. But it doesn't help you to go and do the exact same thing right next to the same person. All right.
And where does speaking come in?
Speaking comes in, first of all, I must say that it's something we're going to do in collaboration with Speak for Africa. Speak for Africa is a speakers bureau that is started here in Kenya, and the executive director is Wendy Geyer. So I do Passion for Profit. I help people turn their passion into profit, and she's passionate about speakers. So we are coming together in January to run a Speak for Profit Academy. Where does speaking come in? I lived in the US for 10 years, and when I came back, I discovered that speaking is becoming more popular here. I had the privilege of being in National Speakers Association, so I am a professional speaker, and I desire to help people. I'm not the best speaker, but I desire to just help people come up higher. There are certain skills and tools that can help them to become professional, that can help them to turn their passion into profit.
All right, and in this case, we are talking about speaking.
Yes.
You said the starting point is have a passion.
Have a passion.
Have a passion for what you want to do.
Which is gain clarity.
Yes.
So gain clarity. What is it that you want to speak about? And then after you've gained clarity, then take action. Once you've gained clarity, you need to gain clarity of what do you want to speak on, what are your strengths, who are your target audience, and then you take action. Taking action, setting goals, preparing a marketing strategy, and having specific goals, because now you know which market you want to face. Normally people say that I can speak to anyone, my story is for everybody. And the minute you begin to feel that you have a service or product for everybody, then that is where you begin to fail. Because the market is segmented, there are different consumers and they have different behaviors and different likings, and different consumers perceive you differently. So you have to present yourself in a way that will connect with your consumers' perceptions.
So specificity is very important.
Very, very important.
Yes.
So you gain clarity, you take action, and then go for success. Normally, taking action, we write down our steps, we write down this big dream, we have the speech in a keynote speech, or we put it up in a presentation form. We also encourage people to have a DVD, like something that can upload on their website, because people are becoming, you find somebody is speaking and then the next thing they're being called to Uganda or something like that. And if someone is calling in Uganda, they might want to know, how do you speak? So having a DVD on your website of how you speak and what you speak about is very helpful. Going for success, now you get out there. You find that because you know who your target audience is. If you're going to be speaking to corporates, then you know you need to get in touch with the communications people or the PR people, because they're normally in charge of the events. And like we're getting into a time where people appreciate their employees, so there's a lot of events that are going to be happening around this time. So
oh yes, as we go into the festive season.
In the festive season. So if you have packaged yourself correctly, then you know you can easily connect with the PR people who are looking for speakers for their different events. Are you a motivational speaker? Are you somebody who's going to add value in terms of branding? Are you somebody who's going to add value, inspire, just motivate people to enjoy what it is they do? So
this is about making actual content.
Yes.
And if I can take you back to using the internet, what do you recommend to your students and those you mentor? Be it, do you need to set up your own website, for instance, or perhaps have a blog, or do you then look for an existing website where you can hook yourself onto that?
All the above. The first thing I recommend at least having a website, and on your website, just a simple website, I recommend you having a DVD of you speaking or different clips of you speaking in different places. If you've done an interview in the media, I recommend you having that also. And then a recent picture. I noticed that one thing, people put all kinds of pictures, but you have to realize that the person looking at your website is trying to connect with you, and if you have this picture that is outdated, it might just put the person off. So you want to have a recent picture on the website, and you want to have a profile, an updated profile. Make sure that your website is updated. If you have events that are going on, let that be there so the person can see that you actually have activity going on. And then the next thing you want to do is have a Facebook page that people are liking. And on the Facebook page, I know a lot of people are kind of leery about getting on Facebook because of what the younger people are doing on Facebook and this and the other. And I tell them, I'm not going to teach you to do what the younger people are doing on Facebook. I'm going to teach you to use Facebook as a tool to draw others to you. So on Facebook, I encourage them to put tips, things of value that people can come and read for free and get to know who they are. You
things
have a
of value, yes. Yes. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because you see all manner of things posted on Facebook pages, all manner of pictures, with your family and some very funny pictures.
Again.
Yes, and those, of course, very funny quotes and using pseudonyms. Where should an entrepreneur draw the line?
If you're going to the Facebook and you're going professionally, number one, use your name. Number two, use your picture, not your wife's picture, not your child's picture, because when people come to the page, they want to connect with you. They're not coming to connect with your family, unless, of course, you're speaking about family relationships, then that's a totally different game. But you want to put your professional self out there. You want to put information, a little information about you. For instance, I put stuff like, I'm a Christian. So in the morning, whatever I read in my devotional, I'd put a snippet out of that to start the day. And then in the course of the day, I might say what is going on with Passion Profit. We have classes that are running, so I might say something that is happening in class. And then at the end of the day, I might give a quote, or I might put a link from another website that has something to do with entrepreneurship that will add value to them. So there's always something of value to them, and a little bit of them getting to know who I am, so that when I meet with them, it's not a cold call per se. So there's kind of some warmth because they know me. So there is the website, there's Facebook, and then there's Twitter.
Oh yes, Twitter.
Yeah, I tweeted this morning that I was going to be here, and some of my followers retweeted it so that others can know that I was going to be here.
So they're actually watching you now?
I hope they are.
What?
Because I told them I'll be watching them on the other side of
Yes.
the camera.
Yes.
So there's Facebook, Twitter, and then I recommend a newsletter. You can do a newsletter or a blog. I prefer newsletter because the newsletter, it goes to actual emails, and the system I use, I can know who is opening the emails, what are they clicking on. For instance, we have started pushing the January class and the Speak for Profit Academy. So we can know who are clicking on these. So even if they don't make a decision, but they click on it, it shows there's an interest. We can call and follow up, or just send a personalized email to them to follow up. You showed an interest in this, where you are, and stuff like that. And keeping the newsletter weekly. Some people say, how do you do it weekly? You're going to bombard people with information.
Oh yes, how do you do it weekly?
And
That's
this
a
and
good
the
question.
other. Number one, remember you're doing something that you're passionate about. So you're always going to be seeing stuff that is relevant, to your audience. And you cut snippets and you write them and store them away. I recommend somebody having a smartphone. Because when you have a smartphone, you can consistently update either your blog, all this stuff, all this.
And it doesn't really matter where you are.
It doesn't matter where you are. You can update it. You can read your email. But the beauty of it is you can take pictures of things that are going on. You can keep quotes that you hear. Maybe you're at a speaking engagement and you hear different things. So you continue building this. And the system I use for the newsletter, you can schedule for like even up to a month, and then just put the date, and then they keep going. But you have to be careful that you also have your calendar to put the ongoing events in there. And that way, and they also have a link to unsubscribe. The reason I tell them they have to do it weekly, we're bombarded with so much information every time.
That is right.
So if
Actually, daily.
Yes. So you have to find your space in that daily bombardment. You can't afford to say, well, I'm not going to do like that. Then they won't remember you. But if they're seeing you all the time, when the need arises, they're like, Frida might come and do a passion profit talk. We're having this thing going on.
So it's about marketing. Well, we are talking about the art of public speaking and how you can use that to make profit, especially around now when you're going into the festivities. And we welcome your participation. You can send us SMSs through 8040, and you can send us comments or questions, and we will be sure to put them to our guest. Now, we're talking about the art of public speaking. Yes. So we have tackled the issue of marketing. Yes. We've talked about clarity, and then going for success, and then after that, what?
Conquer your fear.
Oh yes, we have so many fears.
Yes.
And how do you do that?
I always say fear is normal to fear. Every time you're going to step into unknown territory, your mind will tell you to be afraid. So
yes, I'm called to talk to CEOs.
Yeah, and you feel I'm not a CEO. I've never been a CEO. That's
yes.
all right. So the most important thing, number one, is address your fears. Why are you fearful about going in front of the CEOs and you feel you have a story or a skill or some knowledge you want to impart to them? And then deal with that. Is it maybe you feel they're going to look smarter than you are? That's easy. Just upgrade your wardrobe. Okay. Is it you feel they have more knowledge than you? Another easy thing to tackle. Just read more.
You say easy?
Yes.
Well,
I mean, yeah.
How do you go about that reading? Because, I mean, there's just so much information that you can read, but how do you select what exactly to equip yourself with, what knowledge you need to equip yourself with before you go out there and make that public speech?
First of all, you have to know that you'll never be 100% ready. So if you're 80% ready, you're good to go. A lot of time people don't step out because they're seeking perfection. And every knowledge is new. Even if you've read it before, sometimes somebody will speak it, it will sound different. So every time you're coming to speak before people, there will be a pre-meeting that you'll have. And the person that is asking you to speak will require you to speak something. So I normally recommend, once they tell you, what the audience is going to be, what their expectations are, when you go back and do your research, try to tailor your speech into 3 things that you will tell them. So you can start off with a story and tell them, today there are 3 things I'm going to share with you. And then tell them the 3 things, one by one, and spread it out. And then at the end, tell them, these are the 3 things that we shared today. What one thing made a difference? It's just that sometimes we complicate our lives by trying to tell everybody everything, but the mind can only take so much.
That's right, and that's a very important point actually. What exactly do you recommend? You talk about 3 points.
Yes.
Should they always be 3 points that you're talking about?
No.
Is there a limit? Is there the lower limit, the upper limit? What would you recommend for an average duration of public speaking?
Psychology says 3 is the best, not more than 5. If you get to 7, you're stretching it, because the mind is most likely to remember 4. So I stick with 3. I've kind of put an average. And you'll find that when you talk about those 3, like for instance, I have 5 for turning your passion into profit. And I can speak to them. I can tell you the 5 off the top of my head. I can do a 10-minute talk. I can do a whole day presentation. I can do a weekend camp. Because when you start talking about gaining clarity, there's so many different things, reflections we have to do, questions we have to do, bouncing off ideas. That can take half the morning.
Oh yes, and I can actually play the role of your audience in this case. And I can remember you've talked about clarity,
yes,
about conquering your fear,
yes,
and about that was the third one.
Yes.
There was also going for success.
Yes.
So we are on the third, that is conquering fear.
We're actually on the 4th. Conquering fear is the 4th. Gain clarity is number 1.
Yes.
Take action,
yes,
number 2. Go for success, number 3. Conquer fear, number 4.
So I remembered 3 out of 4.
You see?
Wow. So
it's something that psychologists have tested. I'm not a psychologist, but that's what I was taught when I
and
was
you just
becoming.
tested it right here.
And it worked.
Oh yes, it
yeah.
did. And so how do you structure your speech when you're going to present it before people? Because I think sometimes that is the most difficult thing, or perhaps one of the things that we fear most before we start speaking.
And again, we fear it because we haven't gone through the first 3 steps. Once you gain clarity, and then you take action, finding your connecting to the right audience, and then finding the right knowledge for your audience. By the time you come to structuring your speech, it's a breeze, really. It's a walk in the park, because you're not fumbling with so many unknowns, but you're becoming more confident, and you have the known with you because you have the knowledge. Now, again, it goes back to understanding what does your client want for his or her audience. And structuring your speech, maybe it's a dinner, so you want to add a little humor because people are eating, you want to make them laugh, you want to make sure what kind of audience is it, so you don't bring, always recommend stay away from dirty jokes. They don't add flavor to anything, and you don't want to offend people, and sometimes they'll fall flat, and then you just spoil your name for nothing.
And you look really bad.
And you look really ridiculous. So try a little humor. Try that humor on your friends and see that it's going to pop when the time comes. And then also, I always tell people, you want to make sure that you know how much time you have. People always run over, and then they keep saying, I'm sure you've had when people are speaking and they say stuff like, because of our time, or we are running out of time. And so you wonder, didn't you plan?
And you keep reminding people.
And you keep reminding people about the time.
And you keep saying so many finally, and finally, and finally, and again finally.
Yeah, so, yes. And
how do you deal with that? Of course, we'll go back to the issue of humor, but in terms of structuring and avoiding saying this many finalies, concluding over and over again, what should you keep in mind?
If you're having a speech and you're going to have a podium, you can have a written speech. And I recommend writing it in big font so that you can read properly. Start with a story to keep people easy and to get into their space, and then start with your 3 points. Tell your 3 points. At the end, finish with your 3 points. And then at the end, you can end with a question or a quote. So something a punch that will help people remember you. How you start and how you end is very important, because those are 2 key things that people will always remember.
All right. So start with a story.
Yes.
Outline your 3 points.
Yes.
And end with the 3 points.
Yes.
And you can give a quote.
Yeah.
Or pose a question.
Yes.
So do you wait for an answer after you pose the question?
Normally, by the time you pose the question, people clap if you did a really good job.
Oh.
Yeah. It's not the answer the question type question.
A rhetorical question.
Yes.
I see.
It's a reflective type question.
Let's talk about humor.
Okay,
a very tricky subject, if I may say.
Yeah.
Yes. What do you normally tell your students when, of course, you recommend to them to use humor, but are there any guidelines in terms of using humor? Of course, you've talked about not using dirty jokes, avoiding that. Are there any guidelines? And, of course, you have to consider your audience as well. What do you normally tell your students?
One thing, thank God for Google. So you can find funny jokes on the internet. But again, understand who your audience are.
But it may not be original.
What?
Perhaps somebody heard about it before.
They don't have to be original. The way you tell it and the way somebody else will tell it will differ. Okay, I'm not recommending that you go and try and be Churchill or Enrico Mondi over there, but find humor related to your audience. It's always important to find humor that is related to your audience. And there'll always be, like, there's humor related to politicians. You know, XYZ is doing an excellent job with that. Is there humor related with CEOs? And there are websites that you can find different cartoons that do that. And if you're doing something that has a presentation, then you can have different clips of jokes as you go, you know, as you go along. And people read and people laugh, and it just gets them to be easy.
All right.
Yeah.
So where are we in terms of your points?
In terms of my points,
we have talked about clarity.
Yes.
Taking action. I remember
Yes,
that this
you're
time
good.
around. Oh, that's a compliment. Success, going for success.
Yes.
And conquering your fear.
Yes, number 4. Number 5,
yes.
Embracing the twin P's. Being patient and persevering. Understanding that the people that speak for big money did not start overnight. And it's polishing their craft, speaking over many people, and, you know, just keeping at it and persevering. Now, when it comes to patience...
I think that is a very important point, because you want, you know, to start big. You want to start and you're immediately a big hit. So where do you start? Do you start perhaps with smaller crowds?
Yeah, you definitely want to start with smaller crowds that you're comfortable with. You want to start with, like, associations, people that normally have monthly meetings and they're looking for speakers, and sometimes they're not able to pay. That's okay. Go in front of them and do your best. At the end of every speech, get an evaluation. Read the evaluations, because sometimes we get the evaluation and we don't read them.
So you're getting a written evaluation?
Yes, what I do is at the end of every speech I have an evaluation form that there are 2 things I pass around at the end of when I speak. One, I pass at the end of speaking, I let them know I have a newsletter, Passion Profit Digest, a free newsletter that they can sign up to, because they have heard me. They can decide, do they want to join this or not, as opposed to asking the organizer to give me all their emails. So I'll be coercing them into joining my newsletter. So that's number 1. The next thing I do, I pass out an evaluation sheet that is anonymous, and just ask simple questions. How did you hear about the event? What one thing impacted you about, you know, the topic, the speech, or the presentation, whatever it was? Specific things that you can help the speaker improve. What didn't you like? What did you like the most? What other topics would you like to hear? So everybody fills that out. And when you read those things, you get a lot of good information. Things that you can do better, things that you did well, and other topics that your audience would like to listen to.
And of course, criticism, which you
Yes.
wouldn't get one-on-one
Yes.
in most occasions.
And you want to be, sometimes you want to have a very thick skin and be ready, because some people will say, you know, painful things, but the things that will help you grow.
But, well, blunt is good.
Yes.
Because that's how you learn.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's about being patient.
Yes.
You've also talked about being, you know, persevering.
About persevering. It takes a while for people to change their behavior about the speaking industry. Some people say, I don't need any motivation. I can't stand those motivational speakers, you know. So you'll hear that a lot. And that's the same with any service or any product. People don't go out and sell something for the first time and it's taken. So persevere through that. Keep your dream alive by listening to other motivational speakers. Encourage yourself by listening to positive things, surrounding yourself with positive people until your big break comes. Don't give up. Don't quit.
Well, never give up. That is from Owinga here, of course, a public speaking, a speaker herself,
Yes.
and a coach. We are talking about the art of public speaking and how you can use that to make profit. And of course, we are beginning to have SMS questions here, and you can participate in this discussion by sending us your comments or your questions to 8040. And I will just read one from Sharif in, I think it's in Mombasa. Hi, my name is Sharif. I run a fitness center. How can I use the public speaking to increase profitability? A practical question here for you.
That's very practical.
Oh, yes.
Hi, Sharif. One thing he can do is maybe get a nutritionist to come along once a week and give people a talk on nutrition. You know, things that are pertaining to health, things that are pertaining to fitness. And these can be short snippets, not long talks, just maybe 10 to 15 minutes to engage people. And then that way, either the speaker, because the speaker will be getting, if the speaker is a nutritionist, they will be getting clients from the fitness club. So they should actually pay the fitness club, because these clients will come to their business and get nutritional value information.
All right. Another question here. Hi, I'm Riziki from Mombasa and interested in public speaking for profit making. I need contacts. How can they contact you, perhaps?
Our website is www.passion2profit.co.
passion2profit.co.
And Speak to Africa is www.speaktoafrica.com.
Speak to Africa, where 2 is the digit.
No, 2 is T-O.
T-O.
Yes.
Speaktoafrica.com.
.com.
All right. What are some of the most common mistakes people make as, when they get into public speaking?
Starting your talk by telling people about yourself. And people feel that, people need to know who I am, I need credibility, and this and the other.
I went to this school.
Yeah, and in Kenya that is big. I have this PhD and these kinds of initials behind my names, and you waste a lot of precious time telling people about yourself, where you could have been using that time to give them value about what it is you have come to speak about, your 3 points. So what I normally recommend is have a bio and speak to the person that's organizing the event to introduce you. Don't have one of those 2-page bios, because we are normally running out of time. People started late, so nobody's going to read that. So have a short paragraph that they can read and just talk about your name, what you're passionate about, and you can add your credentials in there, so that when you come up, you start right with your speech. At the end of your speech, you can ask them to join your newsletter or your blog if you have one. But don't start by telling people about yourself.
All right. We'll still come back to the issue of the mistakes people make,
okay.
Public speakers, that is. We have a question here, or rather a comment, from Roslyn in Kakamega. It says, I have a problem with finishing. Help me.
She has a problem with finishing.
Well, she appears to be a good public speaker,
yeah.
But now when it comes to winding it up,
yeah.
it becomes a problem.
It's kind of like when we went to school and we used to do the compositions, and our teachers used to tell us, have your introduction, your body, and your conclusion. It's just a question of working on it. After you've given your body, what one thing do you want them to take away? What do you want them to remember finally? That is what you put at the end. And again, I said you could use a quote, you could use a story, or you could ask a question related to what was on the body of your speech.
That sounds good. Because a quote, quotes are they're readily available.
Yes.
You can Google it up.
Yeah, there's so many.
You can ask friends.
Yes.
You can get it in books.
Absolutely.
You can get something that is related to the speech.
Yes.
Well, we have another question here. I love public speaking. I sleep public speaking.
Wow.
I wake up public speaking. How do I link up with you? Well, you just gave your contacts just now.
Absolutely.
You can give them again.
www.passion2profit.co. Can I give my phone number?
Yes, sure.
0715356571.
Okay,
yes.
That's again.
0715356571.
All right.
Yes.
So let's go back to the mistakes that public speakers make. Apart from the long introductions that we have every now and then we see them in public speaking fora. What else do public speakers, do wrong?
Lack of preparation. Remember when you're coming, like for instance, when we're talking about the CEOs. For someone to be a CEO, they must be pretty clever. So you can afford to come and you're not prepared. So you have to prepare. Do your research. Have your notes. It's not a crime to come with notes in front of them. Of course, I don't recommend having a whole bunch of papers. You can have index cards if you're not going to have a lectern where you can put your sheets of paper and turn them around. And then when you're speaking, fiddling too much, like fiddling with the pen, touching your face too much, especially the nose.
Yeah,
and ladies, have a hairstyle that you don't have to keep, distraction, because you're bringing a lot of distraction to yourself. How you dress is very key. How you dress is very key. Not being overdressed and not underdressing.
Yeah. What do you mean by that? How do you mean? especially for women. I believe that it is an area of public speaking that is of great importance. We have many a great public speakers, but just who fall short on dressing. How well should one be dressed? How do you define underdressing and
underdressing is easy.
Yes.
Underdressing is totally easy. Revealing too much of yourself, because you'll be distracting your audience, especially the audience of a male kind. So you have come to speak. Okay, you don't have to be all covered like I am, but don't reveal more than is necessary. If you're going to be, and I always recommend people knowing where they're going to speak, what the place looks like. Are they going to be walking up a podium and stuff like that? If you're going to be walking up, like up onto the stage or something, and you wear a very short dress, when you're going up there and these people are down there, again, you're underdressed. You're going to reveal more than you necessarily want to reveal. So you want to take care of things like that. Moderate makeup, moderate jewelry. Moderate is always the way to go. If you ask your friends, is it tight? It is tight. You might want to change it.
So you somehow always know it.
You know it. And ladies, I always tell ladies, you know it. Because we always ask our friends, you know.
Do you think I'm overdressed?
Do you think I'm overdressed?
Do you think it's too short?
Yes.
Yes. So it's probably too short.
Your heart is already telling you that it's too short.
All right. Let's take another one here. Hi, my name is Claire. I have just started a life skills training camp and it needs a lot of public speaking. Any pointers? Well, Claire might benefit from this discussion. Another one here. Please, would you mind repeat those contacts? Please, I didn't get them.
Okay. The best place to go is the website, www.passion2profit.com. You can connect with me on Facebook, Frida Owinga. You can also go to the Speak to Africa website, www.speaktoafrica.com.
And of course, you can forward those queries to us, and we'll be sure to forward them to our public speaking experts. I am Wangoi, a lady who wants to stand for election. What do I start to tell people I'm not a graduate?
Why do you want to stand? It's not, people are not looking for graduates. I'm sure there are people standing in leadership right now who are not graduates. You need to understand, why do you want to stand? What value are you bringing to your people? That's the first key thing before you being a graduate. Who are you as a human being? Who are you as a person?
All right, and of course the art of public speaking is getting more important, especially as we head towards elections.
Yes.
And political public speaking, you said, is, you know, it's on its own sphere. Perhaps you can just give a few pointers for those who are aspiring politicians. What are the important points that they need to consider before they go before their crowds in their respective localities and give their speeches and sell themselves to the electorate?
Okay, let me stop laughing. The reason I'm laughing is because I've seen politicians do some really crazy things, but that's okay. For the new guys that are coming on board, it's a good time to do a fresh start. And number one, what value are you bringing to the people? Don't talk about what others are not doing. Don't talk about the problems that others have not solved. Tell us about the solutions you're bringing. Public speaking is always about connecting with your audience and giving them value. So focus on value. What value are you bringing? Stay away from bad-mouthing your opponent or whoever else you want to bad-mouth. And then
focus on yourself.
Focus on yourself. Focus on your constituents. Focus on them. What are they struggling with? How are you proposing to to end those struggles? What is the constituency need, and how are you proposing to bring it? Have dialogues with them. And I think that could be a great start.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for this great discussion. I believe that about public speaking, we can talk about it every day of the week, and we'll just never exhaust all the issues concerning public speaking.
Absolutely.
Well, we have been talking about public speaking as an art and actually making profit out of your public speaking in engagements with crowds, be they small or big. And we believe that we have had a fruitful discussion, and you've actually benefited from that. Join me again in the next hour as I bring you the latest news from our newsroom. My name is Ansel Mwandia. Thank you very much.